The Coast to Coast is a long-distance walk that stretches approximately 190 miles from St Bees on northern England's west coast, bordering the Irish Sea, to Robin Hood's Bay on the east coast, which faces the North Sea. Alfred Wainwright designed the route in 1972, and it's arguably the greatest walk in England, if not the UK. The route goes through 3 national parks, the Lake District, the Yorkshire Dales and the North York Moors, and offers up a range of stunning scenery. In this video, I take you through our coast-to-coast journey, which we undertook at the beginning of September. It was the perfect time of year to do it, not too hot and not too cold, and much quieter than in the summer months. I hope you enjoy. Day 1 involved a long train journey from our home in Norwich up to the start point. By the time we arrived, it was 2 in the afternoon, meaning we just had a half day of walking ahead. We dipped our boots into the Irish Sea before climbing up and around the headland. We then waved goodbye to the coast for another 180 miles. Our first night's kip would be at the Ennerdale Inn in Cleethorpes.
It's not a sexist pig, but so this is the stream that Graham drank from. That does it very good.
Do you want to try? Day 2 was our first big test. We entered the beautiful Lake District, passing along the banks of Ennerdale Water. We then climbed steadily up to a plateau between Green Crag and Grey Knots. I had to resist the urge to summit either and bag some more Wainwrights. We then headed past Honister Pass and down into Sea Toller for the night. The third day was arguably the toughest in the whole walk, as 2 huge ascents were in store. Firstly, we had to climb up and over Calf Crag before descending to Grasmere, and if that wasn't enough, we then had to slog our way up to Grisdale Tarn near the famous Helvellyn before walking down to Patterdale. There were a few tears this day. Day 4 saw us leave the Lake District, which was bittersweet. While it was a relief to leave the brutal terrain behind, the stunning scenery would be missed. We passed Ramsgill Head, which at nearly 2,600 feet is the highest point on the coast to coast. We then went along the gigantic Haweswater Reservoir before finishing in the village of Shap. Sure. On the 5th day, we crossed the M6 motorway, which felt like a big milestone. We also entered the Yorkshire Dales. It was a flattish day, but one of the longest, at just over 20 miles. The scenery was less inspiring than the previous few days, but more peaceful, on less trodden paths. Day 6 was our shortest, at a smidge under 11 miles. However, if we thought we would have an easy time, we couldn't have been more wrong. The ground on top of the moors was boggy, and some running jumps were needed in places to stop our legs being swallowed. Our destination was the charming village of Keld. The next leg was another relatively short one. By this point we were grateful as our legs were tired. After a sharp climb up to some abandoned mines, the rest of the route was a gradual descent into the town of Reeth. We were now bumping into the same walkers time and time again, and making friends along the way.
We're going to split it.
On day 8 we finished our second national park by coming out the eastern side of the Yorkshire moors. We had a nice lunch in Richmond, the biggest town on the route, and then finished in the obscure settlement of Catterick Bridge. We also crossed our second motorway, the M1. Day 9 would take us up to the foothills of the North York Moors, the third and final national park on the coast to coast. This was one of the lowest lying parts of the route, and it took us through some obscure parts of Middle England that we would never have normally have gone to. By day 10 we were starting to believe we could actually do this, as we only had a few days left. The North York Moors are far superior in beauty to the Yorkshire Dales in my opinion, and there was plenty to keep us interested as we came across hordes of mountain bikers participating in some kind of competition.
Look at their little tail.
The penultimate day was spent crossing nearly 20 miles of the North York Moors, from Clay Bank to Egton Bridge. It felt like one of the most remote stretches, and we only saw a handful of other walkers. A notable point of interest was passing the Lions Inn, the fourth highest pub in England. On the last day we woke to a glorious morning with not a cloud in the sky. One of the final tests was the 33% gradient hill coming out of Grosmont. It was a great feeling seeing the sea again after 12 days of walking. The end of the walk follows the coast for 3 miles before you finally descend into Robin Hood's Bay.
I wanted footage, but not this kind of footage.
Usually got one to change if you get. Good job by heading back to the bus.